Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Living on Lemonade podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lauren. Today's episode is one that has been nudging me for a while, and even with last week's episode, I was resisting the urge to go down the rabbit hole, but I wanted it to be a standalone. Now, I just spent I just ranted for like 40 minutes and recorded an episode like this episode, and I decided, I think I have my thoughts together a little bit better. I can deliver it a little bit more powerfully. So I'm gonna do take two, and that's totally cool. We're gonna talk today about holiday season and the complexity of like gift giving and consumerism and stuff like that. Now, I mean, I just spent 40 minutes talking about it, but it's like where to begin. There's a few different things. I did make some notes. I want to talk about mindful purchases. So when some of these are tips, just a different perspective. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start with my experience because that kind of lays the ground of where I'm going to go. In my fi family, we're pretty small, and my sisters are 12 and 14 years older. They moved out by the time I was like 6. I think our last Christmas together in Ontario was 2095. Sorry. And we didn't have another Christmas together till my nephew was born in 2004. But that, yeah, 2004, 2005 was the next Christmas we had together. Through that time, I grew up pretty much an only child, and I got lots of Christmas gifts, lots of Santa presents, but I wouldn't like go and rip all the presents open and play with them all. And I remember a friend, she still talks about it. She's like, I never understood how you couldn't just like you would sit there playing with the gift and wouldn't be like, you know, over just needing to know what else there was. But so I think that kind of I didn't really think about it or realize it. And I think that was kind of the start of just I don't feel the same way about um gifts and presents and stuff. I still love them, but from a different angle. This is why I want to talk about it. When my sisters were like, because they moved away so when I was so young, my one sister was globetrotting, and she would send these little care packages. She would send stuff from different parts of the world with letters and postcards. That's kind of always been the vibe. There's never been any pressure to like buy Christmas or birthday gifts. If I see my sister Becky, she visits on her birthday. I usually have something for her, but it may not specifically be a Chris or birthday gift. It could be just something that I liked, like thought of her with and knew she would love. And I waited till I saw her next. And if it happened to be around her birthday, I would give it. But really, the point is, I think society, there's just so much pressure around the holidays to like, we just end up on this hamster wheel collectively to buy all this shit. Just in the name of like gift giving and exchanging. And, I talk to friends, and I'm planning this like girls' weekend in April, and it's like, oh, I can't pay my part till after Christmas and stuff, and things are really tight, and I get it. That's like the society we live in, but I'm also really resistant to it. And anyone who knows me knows like, and I've said it before, I'm gonna end up with like a program or some sort of training that's like called like fuck societal norms. And while some are good, there's so many societal norms that I've beef with, and I just don't I don't resonate with this whole consumerism thing is one of them. There's a Netflix documentary that's new. It's called Buy Now. It talks largely about Amazon, but it talks a little bit about sales psychology and how they just make it so easy that, with the one click buy, we just end up, they kind of like, what's the word I want to use? We take the consciousness out of it, right? They make it so easy for us. We're just this like machine that they know how to control. So if that's not your vibe, I welcome you or like invite you to just get curious about that and start to really think about things before you click buy or tap your Visa. And this isn't to say like I'm standing on a, pedestal of like I don't do this. I did it for many years, and I think part of learning is going through those things and learning from it and having these experiences. So, yeah, I don't subscribe to it anymore. I haven't bought from Amazon since beginning of the like before the pandemic started, because then there was just such a pull to shop local so local businesses could stay afloat, right? And I just it's continued. I have not bought from Amazon since early 2020 or 2019 sometime. And I don't miss it. And it's also helped my bank account a lot. So there's that. But it also is just like um I try to be really mindful on what I buy, what I'm bringing into the house. Now, I may not have been purchasing from um Amazon at the time, but I'll tell you, I bought way too much stuff from direct sales companies because I got in with Norwex. Then you end up you're networking with people from different companies. I was discovering all these different companies and trying their stuff. So yeah, like I totally was on that hamster wheel for a long time. I spent a lot of money. And now I'm looking back and I'm like, I also have a bunch of shit in my house now that I really don't need. So, um, anyway, that's just to say, like, I have been totally a part of it, but it's been a very conscious practice for me over the last couple years to shift my mindset around consumerism and yeah, kind of that like purchasing culture. One thing I want to say is people I was talking about, or my coach was telling me about this in our call today. We were talking about my business and such. And she was saying like people purchase from emotions. If they're kind of neutral to it, they're probably not going to purchase. They're either like really excited about what's in front of them and they end up buying it because they're excited about it, or there's some sort of scarcity of like, oh, there's only this many left, or this deal ends this time. There's scarcity that drives our emotions to buy it because we are very emotional beings. That amygdala is like such a primal thing that likes to take the wheel. So when we can be aware of that, it's like we can catch the game and not be just a player in it, right? We can outsmart the game if we choose. Um, the other thing with emotionality is being mindful of like your intention with buying things. Is it something you need versus something you want? Not to say that you can't buy things you want, but I ask myself sometimes with things I want, like, is now the best time to buy it? And if it is, limited quantity or the sales ending, is it going to be an issue if it goes out of stock or, like whatever, if it ends up not available? Do I really need to buy this right now? Does it really matter if it goes out of stock? Am I going to regret it? And those are questions that I ask myself so that I can make more informed decisions and not purchase from strictly emotionality. Within emotionality, too, the other factor is like self-soothing. Are you retail shopping? That's a big one. I've done it. I've done it before. Sometimes I find I like to go and treat myself or I like to go to the bookstore like when I'm in a good mood. So it's not necessarily a coping mechanism for me. The way that I know it is with some other people, like my mom, I'm still selling some of her Fluvogs that she went on like a bender for a while. But it's okay. We're we're managing it. But it just goes to like it's just having an awareness of like, am I buying this thing to feel better about something I either don't have control over or don't want to feel the emotions? Like, am I avoiding emotions by buying this thing and distracting myself? Is it a distraction? These are just all things to consider, right? If you want to be a more conscious consumer. Also looking at like sustainability. I try both to purchase from local people, small brick and mortar family mom and pops, and locally sourced stuff. And also, there was something else I wanted to say. Things that are just more sustainable, and I'm not going to be throwing them out in 8 seconds when they break or whatever. The first thing that comes to mind is literally like the lint mitt that I have. It's not, I don't have one of those rollers with the sticky tape that you pull off. You roll it, but then you pull it off and throw it in the garbage. I have an actual like mitt that has it's kind of like grippy or whatever, enough that it does the same job, but then you just take off what you've collected from the mitt and throw it in the garbage. So then you still have this mitt and you're just throwing out what you've collected off your shirt or whatever, your clothing or furniture or whatever it is. Um, yeah, so you're not we waste a lot. And if you watch that Buy Now, it talks about the fast fashion, and like I just had this kind of like these moments of this surreal, like, are we in this weird like video? I mean, I feel like we're in a video game anyway, but this like, how is this real life? This like rat race hamster wheel thing that like we have no idea the impact that we have through these impulse purchases and these emotional purchases and these just like constant consumerism and just buying all this stuff and this cheap clothing that we wear, I don't know, a handful of times. I don't remember what the stat is, but the average amount of that a piece of clothing is worn, I think it's less than 10. I think it's like 5 to 7 times and then it goes in the garbage. Like that's ridiculous. It just, oh my gosh. And when I think like um it's been a while since I bought clothes. Like once in a while, like I'll need new underwear or whatever, and or socks, or I really wear my stuff out. And I still have clothes like they're not fitting me right now, but I have clothes from like high school. I like to buy better stuff and just have it forever. I love that. So that with that documentary, By Now, it opened my eyes even more, and I'm going to be very, very conscious about clothing especially, but just things in general, and where I'm buying it from, and what its source is, where it came from, who put it together. I want to be more mindful about that and making, even if I have less pieces of clothing because they're more expensive, I know that they were ethically sourced and ethically made and good quality and all of that. So that's kind of the era that I've been moving into over the last few years. Um, what else do I got here? Holiday season, talk about Christmas and consumerism and buying all the gifts and being on this hamster wheel of like I have to buy for 50 people and 50 people are buying for me, and it's chaos, and it totally takes away from the entire like essence of the season. Unless, yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on how you look at it, but for me, the holiday season, I'm big about family. I'm big about quality time, togetherness. I lost a lot of loved ones who, man, I'd give anything to have a family dinner with them or just like sit on the couch beside them and have a conversation. So that has also been my grief and my loss has been a huge factor in how I approach gift buying. And yeah, because we talked about kind of consumerism and why we buy things and whatnot, being mindful about that. Now let's get into gift giving, buying for others. I'll tell you my angle, and maybe there's things that you want to pick up and adopt or try. I think they're awesome, but that's me. I've never been one to, well, I guess I can't say that. I have bought people stuff that it's just like, I don't know why. Like, why did I buy that? But I think early on, because my family wasn't big like gift exchangers, um, I'm pretty intentional when I buy something for someone. It's like it stuck out to me for them specifically, and then I wait till I see them, and it doesn't have to be on a holiday. Um, when it comes to if I do give a Christmas gift or a birthday gift, it's usually, and I've been doing it for over 10 years, I wish more people did because I think it just like talk about soul care and um, all of that. I buy things that I buy experiences. So, a decade ago or around there, I think it was 2015. I paid for my dad to drive a race car. He'd never driven a race car. He loved going to the races, all kinds of different race, stock cars, whatever they're called. Um, oh man, he had so much fun. And I bought like the ride along thing so I could have a ride and then be on the track and take video and photos of him. And I made a video of him. And that's something I can always look back on and see, like, look back on that experience. And outside of the photos and videos I have the memories. I've been very big on memories since forever because of the how early I started losing people and not being able to make new memories. So taking pictures, doing things together. My mom, whatever, like she loves having her three girls together and us doing something. For her birthday, we went to a Detroit Tigers baseball game. For many years up until COVID, I would gift her two tickets for her birthday and for Christmas for us, and we would go to a concert together. We'd go see a sing like we've seen like Alicia Keys and um Stevie Wonder and Elton John and Billy Joel. Like we've seen so many concerts together. So it was just a guarantee like two mother-daughter outings and experiences and just enjoying the live music and the atmosphere and stuff. Now, you don't have to it doesn't have to be expensive, but could you like take your nephew or your niece for ice cream or, ice cream in a bookstore? For a number of years, my oldest sister and I would meet out west. We'd meet in Seattle or Portland. She would drive down, I would fly. Sometimes my nephew was there, and we would spend a long weekend together and just like check stuff out, do some touristy stuff, just like explore and just spend time together. And I remember one time we were in Portland, we went to Powell Book, which is like an entire city block. It's the coolest bookstore. I love bookstores. I could live there. And I told my nephew, pick out a book and that'll be like your Christmas gift. And then other parts of that trip, I would maybe buy him an ice cream while we're out or pay his admission to it was always in like November, early December. So it was like zoo lights. We'd go to the zoos and they'd have like all the light installations and stuff. So I maybe would pay for his entry to the zoo or like however that looked. But it would be the gift would be an experience and quality time together. And if for anyone who that's your love language, which by the way, if you haven't checked out love languages, just Google it. You can take a quiz. It's really life-changing when you can understand your own love languages, both in receiving and giving, because they can be different. And the people around you, like if you have a partner or whatever, your children even, you can really get to know them on a different level when you understand their love languages because it just deepens your relationship with them. So that's been a very intentional practice for me forever because that's kind of how it always was. My sister would send me care packages or one summer, first summer ever, it was a summer Nicole died. She died while I was out there. And then I didn't find out till I got back, but it was the first vacation I had with just my sisters and they spoiled me. We did activities like every day. We went whitewater rafting. We went up to the glaciers, the Athabasca glaciers. We went up the gondola at Lake Louise. They paid for me to go gliding. We did all kinds of fun things. And realistically, we could have just like went and hiked or went on a little day trip like what it didn't have to cost money but these were things like they saved up to have all these experiences with me and I'll remember them forever. So I just think there's at the end of the day when we're just like buying all these things because we think we should and again be mindful of the shoulds, we just end up collecting a bunch of stuff. And while some of it has sentimental value, my dad passed along some things. I'm very grateful that he gave me gifts before he died because we certainly didn't get an opportunity to look through his things and have that experience that he wanted us to have. But like it is what it is. I cherish those things, right? When they're tied to memories. Or just like very thoughtfully gave me this thing of his. Um, so those are special, and those are things that like I do have sentimentality to physical objects as well, but I try to be mindful of like what am I buying and giving people, and do they really need it? Or I love making things for people, or just like going and spending time and like paying for their meal, or just whatever that looks like. There's just the quality time. You don't have to spend a dime. Just for me, it's making memories, because you never know when the last time will be when you get to hang out with them and spend time with them. So just I guess the big kind of overarching message here is we can get really caught up in the, excuse me, in the rat race of this like consumer-led society, and the just um materialistic ways of, there's a different word I want to use, but it's not coming to me, of the holiday season and all that stuff. And it distracts us from what's really important. And when we're stressed out about money, either trying to like get all the shopping done when everything's crazy and the mall's packed and it's frustrating, or we've overextended our budget, and we've got a big credit card bill. That's stressful, and it takes away from our daily life. It takes away from the interactions that we have both with the people in our home, and when we actually like go out to Christmas gatherings and stuff. Like, it can just be really stressful, and we do it to ourselves. Okay, this is the way society is led, so that big businesses can make a buck, but it's at our own detriment. So if anything, I want people to really kind of wake up to that and be intentional. If that's your vibe and it's okay, it serves you, then like this isn't going to resonate with you. But if there's just something that hasn't felt right, or you've been waking up to it, like let's have this conversation. Um, and let's really get back to what's really important. And to me, nothing's more important than the relationships and the time that we have with the people that we love. Fuck all the gifts. We can leave them behind. Um, yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about about that. Coming up, couple changes. The intention setting workshop that was for December 10th, I'm moving it to January. So I had a wonderful call with my spiritual and business mentor today. We talked about a bunch of stuff, and it's fun. What one thing I love about having a mentor is they help you to see your own blind spots that I wouldn't have come into awareness of without her guidance. And she helped guide me to just realize like I I always go against societal norms, right? Like I'm like anti all this stuff. And she's like, "Who says you have to do the intention setting thing before Christmas? You could do it in the new year." Because there's other things that I'm working on. So I decided like, yeah, that's the easiest way to move it. There's nothing saying I can't. There's no, because I was like, well, I already announced it. She's like, reschedule it. Easy as that, right? We get to make our own rules in our business. So what I decided is, because we have the self-care vision board workshop on the 19th at 8 in Zoom, you can grab the link from the Living on Lemonade Facebook community, or for my email list if you want to get in on that. I have been building my email list. I think I have 14 people now, which is super exciting. Um, that's going to be the first step instead of the intention setting workshop. So I have new ideas for the intention setting workshop, things I'm going to talk about. That's really, there was a something that was a little disconnected, and it's like energetically I felt it, but I just didn't have the conscious awareness of it that I do now. So now I'm like, I got the missing piece. We're going to do it in January. That's the best timing based on what's going to be offered. And I'm not going to talk about it right now because I'm trying to wind down the episode, but it all makes sense now. So we're going to start with the vision board workshop, some self-care, right? Amongst the holiday season, but before Christmas, it's going to be chill. There's no stress. If you're just not vibing, don't show up. And if you are, if you need a little support, you want to talk about different types of self-care and what that can look like to kind of fill your tool belt of tools and practices throughout the holiday season, then it'll be perfect for you. And it'll kind of segue into the intention setting workshop, which is just like going to be so potent. You can sign up for the intention setting workshop. It's not that you have to wait till January, but we won't have it till January. So I'm going to look at my calendar and pick a date, and then I'll talk about it more like closer leading up to it. Soul care hour. So quick coming up this week because this episode will come out on the 9th. Soul care hour is on the 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern time. That's our community call where we just kind of like get together, chat soul care, self-care, hold space for each other, bounce ideas. It's a nice call when when we get together. And you can get the link from the Facebook community or the email list. And yeah, and then the following week will be the 19th is the vision board workshop. I believe the 17th at 8 p.m. Yeah, 17th at 8 p.m. will be the other soul care hour. So that's what's coming up in the next couple of weeks if you listen to this in a timely fashion. Um, yeah, and then stay tuned. I still have the intuitive, like the inspiration readings. I have a few spots left for those. Um, I do a card spread, use my intuition to kind of like get the vibe of what 2025 is for you, help you see maybe your own blind spots, right? A little bit of kind of coaching there, I guess, through with my own intuitive gifts. And yeah, more details inside the group and the email list, of course, right? So, or if you have questions, reach out. Happy to chat. All right, friends, have a wonderful week and we'll talk soon. Bye.